Now from Capitol Hill, Republican Senator from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, thank you for being on the show this morning.
Morning, Mika. Thanks for having me on.
You sent a letter to the president, sharply worded letter, accusing him, among other things, of scaring seniors in the debt ceiling debate. Is that really true? Is he really doing that? How can you say that?
Well, yes, he has been scaring seniors, but let me first mount a defense about Tea Party folks. You know, we're portrayed as being crazy. We're not. You know, I'm just a guy from Oshkosh. I started working at the age of 15 as a dishwasher in a Walgreens grill. I've been building a manufacturing business in Oshkosh for 31 years. You know, I didn't run for the U.S. Senate because I want to be a senator. I ran for the Senate because I love this country and I see we're bankrupting it. And I get to this town and, you know, I know Washington is broken. I see business as usual here, but now we're witnessing business as usual on steroids, and it's bankrupting this nation. That's my concern here,
Senator,
and that's my problem.
I'm looking at your letter. I'm just going to ask you to answer my question because
Sure.
You say here instead you've been engaged in political theater. This is to the president, demagoguery, and a dangerous game of political chicken. And now you are playing your trump card, threatening America's most vulnerable citizens. First of all, isn't your party responsible, or at least halfway so, for the gridlock? And at this point, at this point, honestly, a reason for everybody to be a little bit disappointed that on a discussion and a debate that we've known about and a deadline that we've known about for months has come to this.
Mika, let's look at the facts. Love it or hate it, the Republican House passed a budget that people can take a look at, they can pick it apart, they can debate it. If the president were really serious about this, he would have put a serious budget, or he would have shown that to us back in February. He didn't. His budget would have added $12 trillion to our nation's debt. It would have furthered the bankrupting of this nation. And now he's engaged in the process, finally, on a personal basis about 3 weeks ago. That's not being serious, and that's our problem. Is you know all this stuff is happening behind closed doors, secret meetings. We should be debating this in public. Where's his plan? You know, Joe, last week I was watching the show. You know, he asked the question: show me one hard vote that a Democrat has taken to solve the debt and deficit issue. Show me one plan in detail. In writing, on paper, show me the plan. We don't have it. You know, I'm a member of the Senate. I have not seen a plan. I hear about it in the news. I hear about it leaked to the reporters. That's not being serious. If you're serious about solving this problem, show us your plan.
Mike Barnicle.
Senator, do you remember when you bought your first home? Senator, do you remember buying your first home?
Sure I do, Mike. Yeah.
Did you ever compromise or negotiate on the price with the then owner of the home?
Say, Mike, I'm happy to work with anybody who's serious about fixing this problem. But the fact of the matter is, when the president finally comes to the table 3 weeks before, about a month before the deadline, and insists on raising taxes, and let's face it, he couldn't raise taxes when his party was in total control of the government.
All right, let's talk.
So again, I'm willing to work with anybody who's going to negotiate in good faith.
Let's talk about raising taxes then.
Let's talk about closing loopholes.
Okay.
I'm happy to close loopholes. Right. Show me the real loopholes. Show me the real deals as opposed to legitimate business expenses, because that's what they're normally talking about.
How about this one, Senator? And take this back to Main Street in Oshkosh and ask the people you encounter on Main Street in Oshkosh. Hedge funds. Hedge funds, a lot of money, billions of dollars. You get taxed capital gains rate, about 15%.
Yeah,
Why not tax it as income?
Mike, has the president proposed that? Is it on a piece of paper? Can I take a look at it?
Why don't you propose it?
Because, first of all, we haven't passed a budget in the United States Senate in 2 years. The Democrats are in total control of the Senate. I don't have a whole lot of power in the Senate to be proposing these things that don't even get brought up. The House actually did pass a budget. The Democrats simply refuse to put their plan on the table because they don't want to have the American people see what their plan is. Their plan primarily is to raise taxes. But again, I am willing to work with anybody. I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to eliminate loopholes. I think most of my Republican colleagues are willing to eliminate loopholes. Show us what they are. They aren't willing to show us. They just demagogue the issue. They talk about this, $3 worth of spending for every dollar increase in taxes. What $3 of spending cuts? It's smoke and mirrors. They're going to be spending cuts that are going to occur 12 years in the future. That's not a serious plan. show us a serious plan. Do this in sort of the regular order. You know, to think that we can actually, you know, prepare a budget, negotiate a budget, a $3.7 trillion a year budget, behind closed doors with a few folks doing it. It is absurd. It's silly. It's crazy.
Instead of a serious plan, we're gonna show you a serious person now, Senator Sam Stein in Washington. Sam.
Thank you. Senator, just a quick question, because obviously this is being done behind closed doors. Obviously there are discussions about a grand bargain and then a fallback plan that your leader, Senator Mitch McConnell, has crafted. Is raising the nation's debt ceiling a premier enough of importance for you that you will be willing to actually vote for a compromise option, or are you actually going to wait and see, read the plans, and possibly reserve the right to not vote for something strictly because you haven't seen it and been given enough time to consider it?
Well, first of all, what I've been pushing behind the scenes is I've been trying to get the House to pass the cut, cap, and balance bill. Hopefully they'll do that today.
That goes through the process, but that's not my question.
No, listen. That actually would solve the problem. I've always felt if we're really going to prevent America from going bankrupt, it's a two-step process. The first thing we have to do is we have to instill that fiscal discipline, the hard spending caps. And I think, honestly, in the end, we need a constitutional amendment to limit the size of government.
But that's not my question.
Put that in, no, but that is what we need to do. Anything else, all these other negotiations, secret little things, commissions, that's business as usual. And again, that has been bankrupting America. We got to step back from that. We've got to instill the fiscal discipline. That's what cut, cap, and balance does. It actually cuts spending next year. It is an answer. It is the answer. It would solve the problem.
It's going to fail in the Senate.
Pardon? Well,
it's not going to
only because we're not going to give it the amount of time to show it to the American people. That what I'd be happy to do is let's pass a short-term deal for a month so we can talk about cut, cap, and balance. I think it's a very reasonable proposal. I think the American people would support it. Let's give it a little time. Let's not just dispatch it in 2 days.
That they're discussing behind closed doors, right? I mean, they're just proposing it now, just like you criticized the Boehner and McConnell plans for being recently proposed. Cut, cap, and balance is just being proposed right now.
Only because of these secret negotiations have just stalled everything else. We should have been talking about this for months. I've been pushing it for months. Unfortunately, it's only being passed right now. But let's give it a month of further debate. I think it's the solution.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Senator Ron Johnson, thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
We'll be right back with more Morning Joe.